Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to an episode of Conqueror's Blade. So today I kind of wanted to touch on the Rattan Rangers. I'm still trying to work through all the Season 3 units, so we're going to have the rest of those videos coming hopefully shortly. But I just kind of wanted to side tour and detour through the Rattan Rangers a little bit because I didn't really get any changes in the Season 3 update. And this is a video I was sort of thinking about doing for quite a long time and finally put my mind to it and decided to get it done. And that is, Rattan Rangers really are quite overpowered, particularly in the context of field battles, I feel. So let's go and have a look at them. Mine aren't amazingly leveled. I'm only level 16 with mine. I've still got another 14 levels to go. But I have basically finished the top half of the veterancy line, which gives me a few nice bonuses, particularly things like the extra bolts, a little bit of extra range damage, extra range, reduced range damage from enemy archers and stuff like that. And so it makes them a pretty decent unit all round. And yes, we see them in siege battles as well. And Rattan Rangers are a pain in siege battles. I don't like coming up against them, but I don't think they have the same strength in siege battles because of the fairly narrow corridors. It's a bit harder for them to escape. They don't have that flexibility that they do in field battles, and so I have less of a problem with them in siege battles. But in field battles, they really dominate and quite easily dominate. We're just going to have a look at a game now. I played 3 games. I think we got an 80 kill game. This one is a 140 kill game, and I think the other one was like a 120 kill game. So it's not like some of my videos where, obviously I play a few games to get a decent one. These, you can almost get a decent game almost every time, and it is pretty easy to do. And that's what makes this unit just so powerful. You can almost guarantee a win with them as long as a few of your team bring them. And yeah, it really ruins field battles for a lot of players because you basically can't bring any other unit other than these because otherwise you're just going to lose. In terms of stats wise, obviously they get their sort of semi-decent piercing damage of 1293, and they do ensure you get just over 1000 piercing armor penetration, but that's enough to go through sort of all sort of medium armor units and some sort of lighter, heavily armoured units. Obviously they start to struggle a little bit against things like Iron Reapers and stuff, but of course they do get bleed damage, so that's irrespective of armour, as if they needed a bit more damage potential, so that also stacks on top of that, so actually their damage is realistically a lot higher than this. They don't have amazing defensive stats, but 650 piercing isn't really all that bad when you combine that with a 20% range reduction, and I think there's another range reduction, another 10%, which is actually going to be my next veterancy point, so when I get to level 17, so they're actually going to be getting harder and harder to kill unless they're going up against things like incendiary archers, which are the natural counter to this unit. These guys are not fireproof, so if you can shoot them with flaming archers, they do burn quite nicely, and it is quite satisfying to do. But let's actually hop into some of the gameplay now, and we can kind of see why these guys sometimes feel a little bit ridiculous in in field battles, and kind of why they feel a little bit overpowered. So we are actually off and into battle and heading towards the sea point. I did just want to quickly mention that we now do have a Patreon set up. A couple of people asked about it in some of the last videos, so you'll just find that down in the description down below if you're so obliged, but absolutely no obligation at all. So, back to the battle. We are off. I was a bit slow getting started. The sea had actually already captured the sea point at the time I got there, and I'm thinking, right, down to breathe then, into the middle, let's see what we can find. I've found so far the main thing about this unit is situational awareness. You can pretty much escape everything. The only time you die is when you get caught in a bad position, because you are classed in the infantry. Yes, there's some slight things like Selkin and cavalry and stuff, and iron caps that catch you, but that's really it. So if you keep your wits about you and prepared to move at the right times and stuff and get out of the way, then it's pretty easy to avoid everything. So I'm just keeping an eye. I've parked myself up. A little bit of enemy archers starting to throw some shots in, so I decided to pull myself out. But, we're already inflicting damage. We're just sort of sitting there shooting at stuff. Then we get these guys starting to come down here. And, this is something that the rest of the team I felt might struggle with. Fast cavalry like this, they're obviously having a hard time catching them with the infantry. So it's something I really, as a Rattan, as a unit that can catch this sort of stuff, should be looking to engage. And we do. We capture the enemy hero. Get the kill on him because obviously these Rattans are just ridiculously accurate, and at close range like that they really just can't miss at all. So that was that dealt with. After 20 kills, but I'm out of ammo. Team's done a good job capturing this supply point, so head over, get this one secure, get in, get supplied up, and get back up to health. So we're just looking around now. What do you want to do next? Ideally we want to be capturing the B point. Doesn't look like there's that much stuff there, so I'm thinking about that. But I'm also thinking about some of the enemy stuff we see around here, and there's some enemy archers around at the back of this, sort of shooting on our supply point, so I kind of wanted to deal with that as well. Enemy hero has a look, kind of immediately regrets it. Yeah, doesn't survive, as we just plough into this unit of archers. Obviously with that range damage reduction and sort of everything in combination, you know, they really don't stand much of a chance. Enemy hero has a quick go, doesn't really do a tremendous amount of damage. And I'm pulling back and back round to the friendly side so we can start to maybe look about pressuring that B point and getting the capture, because we really need to be starting to get that in now. A little bit of enemy infantry though. Unfortunately a few shields have turned up, which is going to make things a little bit difficult. You know, obviously Rattans do struggle more against shields, but I can outflank, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Although I did notice they're building a cannon, there's a couple of enemy heroes and a bit of stuff around there, so I'm a little bit nervous. But you see, every time I'm moving around, just positioning myself, I'm gaining kills. Up to 45 kills. I've not even really done anything other than just move around the map slightly. And, you know, as stuff starts to pressure us, I just pull ourselves away slightly. So we're getting threatened slightly by these crossbows. We actually managed to lose a unit. I think a little bit of that and a combination of enemy ranged hero. I slightly didn't realise how much hand damage my horse was taking in that little bit of hand-to-hand. But I call the unit over and finish off those remaining enemy pikemen. And then, a random enemy hero guys. I mean, this is just ridiculous. What chance do these enemies have when they can't even get to me? Because I can just sort of keep such easy range from them and just sort of zip around. And the accuracy of this unit means that they apply their damage so effectively. If you watch them as they shoot, they very rarely miss because they're pretty spot on. And I think that's one way in which they could be balanced a little bit more. You know, get a bit of an accuracy nerf. At least would be one way of starting to make it a bit more difficult for them. So I go and get myself a new horse since the last one bit the dust, and I'm thinking about what we want to do next. I didn't realise when they ran out of ammo they'd actually gone onto melee mode. I wasn't wondering why they weren't shooting here. It took me a few seconds to realise that I need to press 5. You can see at some point, there we go, it clicks, I realise what I need to be doing. And of course, because we're shooting from the back, we get full critical damage with every shot basically. And look how accurate they are. Isn't that just crazy? And we're to almost 100 kills now. And there's nothing these two infantry units or two heroes can do. Even if our allied team wasn't there, I can pull range on them. I'm in a full open field. And really, there's just very little they can do in this sort of situation. And it enables us to get in and, you know, secure the C point. Fortunately, we lose the A and the B point at the same time, so we've still got a little bit of catching up to do. But it just shows the damaging potential of these Rattans. And yeah, I think they're a unit that needs a little bit of a nerf. As I say, an accuracy nerf I think would be quite nice. I also think maybe either looking to reduce that bleed damage. I don't think they necessarily really need that as well. Or maybe a bit of a reduction in their piercing armor penetration. You know, if that dropped down to sort of 900, then yes, they'd still be effective against light units like archers and stuff like that. But then when you start to get the more heavily armoured units, their damage will really start to drop off. And I think that would sort of, in effect, be a little bit of a nerf towards them. I think that would make things a little bit better. I was thinking about going up that route there, but it's a little bit tighter, so I turned around and changed my mind. So then I'm still pulling around the back, thinking where am I going to go, thinking about maybe trying to pressure this sort of cluster of units that we know we've got. Have a little bit of a look. Thought there's quite a bit of stuff there, including some enemy ranged, so I was a little bit hesitant to go fully around. But, you know, it is where the bulk of the enemies are, and we, you know, if we want to be winning this game, we do need to sort of deal with them. Particularly if I'm going to be looking to capture the A point up at the top. So we come around, and then it's where a little bit of micromanagement comes in. I'm really trying to keep the unit clear of those melee units in the distance while trying to get in a little bit more on some of these archers. Start to get some shots in. The enemy charges, so I have to pull myself through. Kill a random enemy hero. I don't even know who that was. It's just ridiculous. And then we're through and onto the A point. Particularly as we're losing the B point, I really felt we needed to get the capture here now. But then at the same time, as I was doing that, I didn't realise this enemy group, enemy archers, was here, so I had to deal with them. And we actually take quite a chunk of damage at this point. If you saw before we engaged, we were actually pretty low on health on a lot of units. An enemy hero, I don't quite know where he came from, I didn't spot him, managed to get in amongst us. Try and pull a bit of range there. And this is where I'm starting to fall apart now. I'm horse down, I'm trying to control the unit. I'm also conscious that we really need to capture a point, and I'm not really doing myself many favours. And then this dual blade engages, does a really good job, pops in and out, and then the spear sergeant's turn up. And by this point, I know the game is up, and I've lost with that part of the unit, and I'm going to die now. But we managed to achieve 140 unit kills, and I don't even know how many hero kills. You saw them just popping up throughout the match. And if that isn't, like, a little bit ridiculous, 155, sorry. You know, is that really how we want these units to be balancing out? I think, and that's very easy to get in these battles. That's not just one-off ones, that's really regular. This is kind of what happens very often in these matches. So I think Rattan Rangers, particularly in field battles, need to be seeing some sort of nerf, or at least change into their playstyle to make them a little less dominant, because it's certainly not a lot of fun to play against them, particularly for newer players when they have lighter units, because the Rattans can just absolutely munch through them super easily. We did actually go on to win that game in the end. It was really quite a close one. It came down, we had about 30 points left at the end, but we managed to secure A, B and C all at the same time, and we just managed to get it down and get that win in. So that's really all I've got time for today. I just wanted to touch on these Rattans because, as I say, I think they're a unit that needs a little bit of a revisit, a little bit of a tone down in certain areas. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Does anyone think they don't need a nerf, likes them the way they are, or any really good suggestions about how you would like to see them nerfed? Thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll see you all on the next one, and yeah, see you later.